Okay, so quickly I wanted to record a video pointing out my testing methods. I suspect there will be lots of discussion, there'll be lots of people who don't watch this anyway, so be it, that's always the way. But for the people who do want to know more about it, then hopefully this will answer most of the questions. So as you know, PS5's come out, I've got a decent PC finally, and so I've been doing some testing on input lag. The main way I achieve this, Nvidia has put out its latency analyzer, and so you can use that to get results that I couldn't previously. So things like more than 60 Hertz, G-Sync, and 4K were all kind of things that I couldn't really access, although 4K is still to come. The way I do this, I've got an Alienware high-speed monitor that, as you can see up the top, has the latency analyzer built in. Now you can look up how that works yourself. The only things to mention, you can't actually do it with the joystick. And so the way I've done it is I've drilled into my mouse and I've wired up the pins for the button there. That is connected back, where are we, under there, and onto here, which is just, here, which is just a it's an Arduino, which is what I'm familiar with using. All it's really doing is when I push this button, then it will be read by the Arduino, it'll send a signal down through to the mouse, which is how the screen and the latency analyzer knows what's going on, and then simultaneously it will go through these wires to cause activation of the Hori Real Arcade fight stick. And so up until this point I didn't do PS5 testing because the book didn't work, but because this one still works we can use that. So as you can see, every time I push a button we get a result. For what it's worth, this is the PS5 running the PS4 version of Guilty Gear, and then all I need to do is just to record all of those numbers down. Now, the kind of corrections that I make, firstly, because what we're looking at, you need to find a point on the screen where the animation, or I think it's actually more the luminosity changes more than color. And so I've got it hovering over the P here. So you can see when that turns on, that gives you a nice change. It'd be harder to kind of put it over a fist or something like that, and probably less accurate. So I'm always on the lookout for something like this. Some games it doesn't work, and so then you need to find another spot. So a kind of common trick that sometimes you have to employ is you put it over the life bar, work out how long it takes before the life bar changes. So say if it's a 10 frame move, then you subtract 166 milliseconds and so forth. But that's obviously a bit more fiddly. It's nicer if the command history will do it. One of the things that the latency analyzer doesn't do is correct for how far down the screen it is, so I look to do this. So for this one, I believe it's 906 pixels down a 1080p screen, but I'm going to double check that. And then I use that, because you can imagine if this is running at 60 Hertz, then it would take 906 over 180 times by 16.66 milliseconds per frame. And so I subtract that from the final result. I add on the mouse time, and so what that is, the analyzer only does it from when the mouse click arrives at the monitor to when something changes on the monitor. So you're not actually including whatever happens inside the mouse. The particular model I've got on average takes 5.1 milliseconds, so we use that in the calculation as well. I am a bit lazy when I do the recording because it's a lot of work, and so I don't include the fractions. I just do whole numbers, and then I just add a half on at the end to account for the fact that I didn't include the decimal beyond the decimal point. And so that's fairly much it. It's reasonably repeatable. The thing which I think is happening with Guilty Gear is that there are epochs. There are periods where it goes faster or slower. And so on each one I've done kind of 100 measurements, but it's possible that you may get a faster or a slower epoch in there, and then your results would be swayed by that. But hopefully with 100 that's reasonably smoothed out. And so that's about it. I'll post up some of my new results, but I certainly wouldn't mind if people watch this video beforehand just so they can understand better what's going on. Cheers.